Hi students, today I'll be covering the topic related to demand change and content demand change, which is a very important concept in economics connected to the second chapter of market economy. So let me see what do you mean by demand change and content demand change. Though it sounds almost similar, there is a huge difference related to the terms. Let us first of all focus on what is meant by content demand change. The term content demand change simply reflects the law of demand. So what does the law of demand says? Law of demand says the price of a certain good and the quantity demanded has an inverse relationship, which means when price increase, quantity demand decreases, and when price decrease, quantity demand would increase. So the law of demand or the quantity demand change could be illustrated using the initial demand curve. Very important, it could be illustrated using the initial demand curve. There won't be a shift of demand curve, only the points would be shifting. For an example, let us assume the price of a product is 10 rupees and the quantity demanded at price 10 is going to be equal to 200 units. And suppose an increase in price for 12, what would happen? Obviously, based on the law of demand and price increase, quantity demand would decrease. Let us assume for 100 units. So you can see an increase in the price of the good decreases the quantity demand. Vice versa. Let us assume if the price decreases to 8, then what would happen? According to the law of demand, the quantity demand increases to 300. So I hope you clearly understand content demand change or a change in content demand change is simply it represents the law of demand where a change in price of the constrained good would change the content demand of the good. Understood? Right, now let us see what is the difference between content demand change and demand change. On the other, the demand change is where the price of a good is remain constant or it's assumed as constant, and the content demand of the good would change due to any other reason. Therefore, a change in demand due to any other determinant other than the price of the good is referred to as demand change, and it is illustrated by shifting the demand curve. Let us take an example. If the price of the good is 10 and the quantity demand of the good is 200, now let us assume that the price of the good still remains 10 and consumers income has increased. So as you all know, the consumer's income is a determinant of demand, and an increase in consumers income would increase the amount the people are willing to buy. So now we'll say the consumers are willing to purchase 300 units, but there is no change in price, because the reason is not price, the reason is any other determinant. For this example, I have said an increase in consumers income. So if the consumers income increase and the price is still remain at 10 rupees, the quantity demand is 300, you can see the new point does not reflect on the initial demand curve. So in order to illustrate that, we have to use a new demand curve and shift the demand curve parallelly, which means the new demand curve is here. So exactly you can see the demand curve has shifted when there's an increase in demand. Vice versa, supposedly if the consumers taste, or you can say there's a bad weather condition, or else consumers income has decreased, or any other reason that would decrease the demand, suppose the demand has gone down to 100, how is this point illustrated? By shifting the demand curve inwards or else towards left. So I hope you understand what do you mean by demand change and content demand change. A demand change would shift the demand curve. A content demand change will not shift the demand curve. It would only shift the points along the demand curve. Hence, the content demand change clearly represents the law of demand, while demand change does not represent the law of demand. Rather, it represents a change in demand due to any other reason other than price. Thank you. Stay tuned for more.